Good Saturday, everybody. Hope yours is going well. Got a little bit of Seahawks stuff to talk about here. Kind of, right? It's half Seahawks, half 49ers, I guess. But the Seahawks are involved, and we got to talk about this a little bit. Yesterday, Richard Sherman said some things, and no, they were not the divisive, vindictive, and spiteful comments. They were not those kind of comments about the Seattle Seahawks, right? Because a few weeks ago, he had some of those comments, and I made a video about them and expressed my disdain for them. But these comments are not that. These comments are not anything that is super polarizing or spiteful. I don't like them much more than I liked the comments he made a few weeks ago about the Seahawks, but he had some things to say on the, I guess you could call it more of the business side. Richard Sherman said yesterday that he expects the Seahawks or the 49ers to sign free agent cornerback Stephon Gilmore in free agency, formerly of the Patriots and most recently of the Carolina Panthers. Expected to hit the market, and Sherman believes he will sign with one of the 49ers or Seahawks, both teams that he has played for, both teams that he has played at a very high level for. And he basically said, I think that one of those two teams will get his services, which is interesting because both the Seahawks and the 49ers, as of right now, run a zone scheme with cornerbacks who are typically not paid at a super high level unless they are the generational guys, like, say, a Richard Sherman. But let's dive into this a little bit here because we do know that one thing that Clint Hurtt said in his press conference, what was it, a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now, he said that we were going to be a little less zony in 2022, basically implying that we were going to run a little more man-type defense in 2022. And I didn't totally buy what he was selling, but signing a Stephon Gilmore would make me go, maybe he's actually onto something here, because Stephon Gilmore is the kind of guy you would sign if you were genuinely trying to get cornerbacks who could play man. As much as we love DJ Reed, and, well, I don't know if we love Sidney Jones, but I have a deep appreciation for him, and most people on this channel do as well. They are not really man corners. Maybe they can do it every now and then, but that's not their game. They are pure zone corners. So if you do want to do more man stuff, signing somebody like a Stephon Gilmore is kind of a necessity. Here's the thing, though. Man corners, like Stephon Gilmore, tend to be more expensive. Gilmore, currently on Spotrac, is projected to get a contract that lands him a $14.1 million average annual salary. 2 years, $28.3 million. Now, this number might be off. It's hard to know, right? Gilmore has not been that good the last two seasons for the Patriots and the Panthers. So maybe this number's way off. It's possible, right? Maybe instead of getting 2 years, $28 million, he might get like 1 year, $9 million, 1 year, $8 million. Who knows? He can kind of go many different directions because, yes, a few years ago he was Defensive Player of the Year, maybe the best cornerback in the league. Last 2 years have not gone that great for him, and the star has significantly dulled. It was to the point where the Patriots were actually going to release him last year before they were able to find a trade partner for, I think it was like a 6th-round pick. So that's nevertheless a significant expenditure that you would have to make to get Gilmore. Like, even if this number is off by a little bit, it's still going to be more money than a guy like DJ Reed is going to get. It's going to be a ton more money than a Sidney Jones is going to get. You would need this number to be off by almost half. You would need it to be in the realm of like 2 years, $14.1 million for us to start to find some level of parity with what we've had before at the cornerback position ever since guys like Sherman left. So, on top of all this, Gilmore's going to turn 32 before the season starts, so he's getting up there in age. He's... Again, he hasn't been that good the last 2 years. I know there were a lot of extenuating circumstances, but didn't really impress a lot of people as far as I know these last 2 years. He's the definition of a guy you have to pay a tax on because of former success. This is a guy who has a DPOTY in his cabinet. You're going to pay more for a guy like that just by virtue of the fact that he has that, even if it has no relevance anymore. So, even though I suspect this number may be off, I I don't think it's going to be off by enough to sway me here. This is also a guy who I believe has missed some time over the last couple years with an injury. I know he might have been milking that injury because he didn't want to play in New England without a new contract, but there's just too much here that I don't like for this amount of money, or really any amount of money that's even close to this. And also, what does this potential expenditure say about the rest of the team? So let's think about this for a second. The Seahawks have said that they're going to run a hybrid defense in 2022. If they're going to pull that off, they need a legitimate nose tackle. They need at least one half decent defensive end. And maybe they need an elite guy. Maybe they need to go get like an Emmanuel Ogbah for $10 million a year. They need a stud outside linebacker, at least somebody like a Clowney, but maybe somebody like a Hassan Reddick or a Von Miller. And those guys are going to cost money. But I do think we can pull it off. But what if you start introducing this man cover scheme where you need high-profile, big-time cornerbacks to pull off? Okay, what if you then include in that pot having to sign guys like a Stephon Gilmore? Because if you get Gilmore, then what? What are you doing at the other cornerback spot? You're probably going to go get somebody else who can play man. And that somebody else is going to be more expensive than a guy like a Sidney Jones who playing zone. He might be about as expensive as DJ Reed's going to be had he been your number one in a zone scheme. So the expenses to turn this defense over are starting to get a little out of hand here. And we also know that as of right now, it doesn't look like the Seahawks want to cut Bobby Wagner. They don't look like they want to cut Chris Carson. And although it's early, I'm not getting a great indication that they even want to restructure Wilson's contract, because you're seeing teams already start to do that. I think Dak Prescott already got restructured. Kenny Clark and Aaron Jones got restructured. So the fact the Seahawks have not restructured Wilson at least has to make you wonder if they're willing to do it. Those three things I just mentioned, that's nearly $30 million in cap space the Seahawks are turning down. And I know they're definitely going to at least redo Bobby's contract, but how much money are they going to be saving? It's going to be a lot less than the $16 million you save if you just cut him, 16.6. So we have to start asking, where's the money going to come from? Because nose tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker, and 3/4, this is not cheap stuff. Maybe you can address a little bit of that in the draft, but not all of it, especially with no first-round pick. And what I'm really trying to get to here is, where is the money for the offense? You need some running back help. You need to do something at tight end. And biggest of all, you need to do something about the offensive line. Something real. Something significantly better than you've done before, or else none of this is worth it. Now, let me say this. I don't think that Richard Sherman is an insider. I don't know where he gets his information from. I don't know if he's saying this simply because he thinks it makes sense in his head, and he doesn't actually have any inside information that leads him to believe that Gilmore is a likely candidate to go to San Fran or Seattle. This is not Adam Schefter saying that. This is not Ian Rappaport saying this even. This is Richard Sherman. He's a former player, once upon a time a stellar cornerback, future Hall of Famer, great cornerback. I don't know if he's much of a NFL beat reporter. So this could just be him giving a educated guess based off his experience as a player. But as we know, Richard Sherman has no experience as a general manager or coach. He has not done those things. He has been a player. So this could be, I don't know. Maybe I'm giving Sherman what he wants. I'm giving him attention by making this video. I don't know. But it's not like this is feeding into any Richard Sherman agenda, which is what we were talking about a couple weeks ago with his comments. How does Gilmore going to San Fran or Seattle work in Richard Sherman's favor in any way? Like, that doesn't benefit him. That doesn't help him at all. That doesn't mean anything to him. So it's not like he's saying that to try to pump himself up or create an opportunity for himself. So he said it for some reason, and as near as I can tell, that reason couldn't possibly be selfish. So I don't know. But what I do know is that I really don't like this. And if there's truth here, and we are going to pursue Gilmore at this price, or even a little lower than this price, it really discourages me. It tells me that things are not going to change, things are not going to get better, and in 2022 we're going to kind of try to be doing the same thing that we've been doing before, which is, hey, Wilson, here's your mediocre at best offensive line, maybe a little better than mediocre, but it's not going to be great. Figure it out. And asking him to do that has not produced any Super Bowls in recent memory. So to me, it's completely insane to even consider trying to do that again, because we've been beating at this rock for a while now. The rock is not moving. So look, if you're going to go to a man scheme, you do need to bring in a cornerback like a Stephon Gilmore. I would personally hope you could get somebody a little younger and a little less washed up, potentially, than Gilmore. But that guy's going to be expensive, and I don't know where the money's going to come from, so I'm actually kind of hoping this is a bluff, and we end up going back to the zone. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Have a good Saturday.